This thing and that thing seems easy, but this simplicity is brought to you by complex cognitive mechanisms. In the most abstract form, this thing and that thing are still perspectivized subjectively. They exist as defined by mind, and they do not exist outside of it. They do exist outside of mind, and mind was produced by eons of contact with them. They neither exist within mind nor outside mind. And of course, they exist both ways. Things are impermanent, and things are dependent upon one another. Their impermanence has a form, and their connectedness allows them to acquire meaning, so that some things have names for other things around them. They have a whole lot of things inside of them too, loosely reflecting those outside and those others inside of them. In Zen, things that have a mind are said to have a capacity for understanding. What is called true understanding, what is called achieving equanimity, what is called being independent and calm in the midst of turmoil, what is called having experienced the great death, what is called being joyously alive, and what is called the nature of things, and what is called mind being luminous and clear, is touching upon the underlying reality of things, known in Buddhism as emptiness. A lot of contradiction is going on, and a lot of yarn is being spun. In Zen, the reality of things is at the root where everything comes together, but the branches are also thus. One uses mind to understand mind, but one understands it by not dwelling on this mind. One dwells in the realm of subjective perception, untrammeled by perception. One eats, drinks, talks, reads, and rests in one's usual fashion. Yet one does not have to go on, conceptualizing and reconceptualizing, on and on, in an endless loop, creating new labels each time a grain of sand is added or taken away, burying oneself under a mound of this and that thing, when in reality this is the thing yonder, if any at all. In Zen, one must not accept a certain mode of activity or cognition, or a certain emotional state, as the only means or the only goal. It's rather boring doing the same shit over and over again 24/7. Zen practice should go beyond boring. While adjusting to circumstances and accommodating oneself to the plight established by the influence of external forces, one is not to lose oneself to them. There is likely no permanent self continuing from the cradle to the grave, and no unbroken continuity of awareness comprised of the snapshots of one's unfolding identities. There might also be no physiological distinction between many of the concepts we apply to describe ourselves. Perhaps some of them are conceptualized to be different as they diverge not in their neurological basis, but in the culturally driven context they are put in. Those well-subscribed lies, metaphors, and symbols are seen in Zen as pointing to the same truth of the mind who had birthed them. It is called empty, because it spawns some things and is dependent upon the others. And it is not this and not that, yet it has both of them within it. But in a fundamental sense, neither. It is viewed as worthwhile to keep focus and put effort into this introspection. Seeing one's ever-changing nature with one's own mind, whose nature is so. This is stillness without stagnation. One element to Zen is its more or less non-dogmatic nature. It is sometimes said that Zen is directly pointing to the mind, which makes it rather difficult to pinpoint. Koan's verbal teaching is considered an entry point, a snare to lure one in, a tug at the sleeve to make one notice something close at hand, yet ignored, a kick at the ass to make one look back and see what's going on. All the teaching is seen as expedient means to cure illusionary illnesses, and once one turns his mind around, changes perspective and gets realization, it is likened to dung. Similarly, Master Yuan Wu said, "Therefore, we do not eat other people's leftovers by accepting stale formulas and worn-out cliches, but to do so would mean being tied up to a hitching post for donkeys. And this is the end of Zen.